that whole COVID thing, like if you didn't learn something about yourself, and I know you've probably seen this dumb bullshit tweet, but it's like, it's something I got to kind of buy into. But if you didn't learn something about yourself during all this stuff, then you're doing something wrong.
This is Amigos PC.
If you were looking for a highbrow, fancy, smart, regal podcast with hosts that love to talk about horse riding, badminton, and trips to the vineyard, you're in the wrong place. This is Amigos PC. If you're looking for drinking, random nonsense, stunts, shenanigans, and balls out craziness, you've hit the jackpot. This is Amigos PC, and this is Scott and Mark.
The Amigos PC back. Today's guest is Brandon Gooch Hahn, a raging hypocrite, comedian, host of Komp Rock radio station 92.3 in Las Vegas, also co-host of Rise to Offend and the Metal Sucks podcast. Brian, if you could, come in and give us some of your thoughts.
What's up? Hey, guys. Yeah, like, what kind of thoughts are we talking about? Like, I just say, you want to get some thoughts? I'm like, oh, I really could go for a taco right now. Like,
what kind of taco?
What kind of taco? Well, let's see here. The regular kind, maybe a little bit of carne asada.
Nice.
Maybe a little bit of guacamole. I don't know. We'll see. I got to see if it's handmade. I like to see my guac handmade, like in front of me. I like to trust my guacamole.
Oh, yeah.
Do you do any of like the drunk Mexican joints or anything like that? Does Vegas? I know you have like the Strip and downtown, and they got all the fancy restaurants and things like that. But on like the regular streets of Vegas, do they have like a particular chain that everybody goes to for drunken Mexican food? Like here we have Filiberto's.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I've been to Filiberto's. Ours is Roberto's. Ours is just Roberto's. So you got Filiberto's.
Yeah.
We got Roberto's.
Oh, so, like, they got to be cousins. They must be.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to keep. It's the Berto's wars. They're just clashing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's funny. So we had another radio guest on not that long ago from our local area, 93.3 Alt AZ, Mo Radio. And one of the questions that we asked her was, why radio? What brought you to radio?
For me, it was like I was doing comedy for like a year. I was 20 when I kind of started doing my internship, and I just started doing stand-up comedy. It was like barely at the end of my 19th year. And then, just kind of started calling up the radio station, just started making jokes. And I don't know, one thing led to another. I got an internship, and I just kind of told myself, I just don't want to do a job that I hate. That was always the case. Like, I was never one of those guys that's like, I had a dream and I'm going to follow it through, like, which is great if it works. But it's like my whole deal is like, I just want to make sure that I did a job that I didn't hate. And then I ended up like really liking it, like really loving it. So it's like, that's pretty much all it was. It was just, I don't know if it's a tale of me settling or if it's a tale of me achieving. I'm not 100% sure yet still.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a little bit of both, right? I mean, well, and settling's not really the ideal situation, right? But comedy was the vehicle that drove you into something you're really enjoying, right? Maybe?
Yeah, that's exactly it, and I feel like radio and comedy, they just go so hand in hand, and I don't know, and when you enjoy your day, look forward to your day at work, I don't know, man, nothing beats it. I've had jobs where you're just like, oh my God, like
looking at the clock, watch the clock the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was at Home Depot here in Las Vegas pushing carts in July, hungover for the very first time in my life, just 100. You guys got it over there in Arizona. I mean, it's the same deal, dude. It's so hot and just miserable. But yeah, man, I mean, that was pretty much it. It was just like, just get a job that I don't hate. Everything kind of worked out. And indoors. God, the AC is so key.
It is. Oh, I know.
Like, especially right now, this time of year, it's 1,000,000 degrees outside. You can fry eggs on the sidewalk, basically.
Yeah, summer fun.
Right, yeah. And the thing is, like, people just walk around sweating your ass off, people thinking you got some kind of tapeworm or something because you're always skinny. Like, oh, dude, vicious if you're outside all the time, dude.
That's funny.
Right. So with the internship, then, like, what was like the first gig at the station before you got in on the afternoons?
So I ended up interning for about a year and a half at night, though. That was the weird thing. I never did mornings, so I just interned at night with my friend Kara. And Kara just taught me radio, and then I ended up getting the graveyard shift, and then I got the night shift when Kara moved to afternoons, and then Kara ended up marrying Larry the cable guy. That's what happened. She ended up marrying Larry the cable guy, and then...
Wow.
Yeah, it was and then she was the one that named me Gooch and everything. It was like she just ended up marrying Larry the cable guy, and they ended up going off and having a life, and then eventually after about a year they brought in another guy to do afternoons. That didn't work out, and then I was slid right in, and everything's been there ever since.
Very cool. That's a good story.
Nice.
Oh, she was one of my closest friends. Yeah, we were very tight, and I'll never forget this. So we just moved into the building that we're in right now, but this was brand new. This is right when this building was brand new. And there was a patio outside where everybody would go to take smoke breaks. Well, Kara and I, we were doing the night shift. We would go out there just to get a breath of fresh air or whatever. When we walked out, there were all these killer bees on like a little tree, so there's like all these bees on a tree. We're like, oh my God, we got to get rid of these bees. So we're like, all right, let's go grab a chair and we'll hit them with the chair and then the bees will fly away. Well, we run out there with this chair and I throw this chair at this tree and it hits it. And we run back inside. And we're like, all right, the bees are probably gone. Now all of a sudden they're all over the building. And there's just bees all over the building. We're freaking out. We're trying to bang on the window, telling people like that are walking by, we're like, there's fucking bees, run away. And then we started panicking. We're like, oh, they got the folding chair. We're going to get caught. So then we had to run out there. I told her, I said, grab a fire extinguisher and I'm going to run out and grab the chair. If I start screaming bloody murder, I go, hit me with that fire extinguisher if I get stuck with some bees. So I ran up there and I grabbed the chair, and then she just turned and ran immediately. It kind of left me to fend for myself. But yeah, we ended up getting the chair and the bees ended up flying away. It was crazy though. It was nuts.
Wow.
Well, a good thing that you're not like allergic to
yeah.
Because I mean, we could have had like a...
Well, that's what we were like all these people that were walking by on the sidewalk were freaking out. We're like, oh my God, what if they die? Like, oh dude, we were afraid, man. We didn't know. We were like, I was only like 21 years old. I had no fucking clue what was going on.
With radio, what's the audience like in Las Vegas? Because I know you have the Strip and things can get crazy there, right? Even downtown. Right. But there is a normal society to Las Vegas also. We know a few people. We play video games with a couple of them every so often that actually live and do the normal work on the Strip type situation. So what's the audience like? Are they crazy just like the Strip? Is it all diverse? Like, what is it like?
It's very, you know what, dude, it's very much like, just like Phoenix, like if it's not on the Strip, you're right. I mean, there's two different worlds going on in Las Vegas. It's all centered around the Las Vegas Strip. And then you got this, you got all these different communities like just on the outside of it. And it's why it's so hard to kind of get anything going for the locals, because the Strip for everybody else is like 15 minutes away from everything. So you always want to centralize all of your, like if you're trying to do some kind of entertainment, you always want to centralize your entertainment, but it's very hard to kind of get to just kind of bring people together. That's the one problem that I would say that happens in Las Vegas. But with the sports teams and stuff, like we're getting the Raiders, we got the Raiders and we got, the Knights, obviously, the Las Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's like, that's kind of brought people together. And, so it's diverse, but at the same time, dude, it's like a rock crowd is a rock crowd. They hate sleeves on their shirts. You know what I mean? They love to drink. They love tits. It's like, there's a couple of, it's not that hard to figure out when you're talking about rock and roll crowds.
Well, some of the audience here with radio, not that I'm a radio personality or anything, but from what we hear when we're listening to like our main station, KUPD here, we also have the native crowd where it's, a bunch of drunk Indians essentially listening to Slayer constantly. Is that something that is part of your demographic also?
Not really. Like we have the Paiute Smoke Shop. I mean, we have the Paiute Plaza, but we don't really have a huge Native American community in Las Vegas. No, I would say that. I wouldn't say that. Yeah. But it's like, but we have a metal community, and the thing is like a metal community, like it's going to be, obviously a bunch of white dudes, again, hate sleeves. A lot of Latinos love metal out here. I would say those are probably the two groups that dominate the metal scene. But yeah.
Wow.
What do you guys do for like giveaways and things like that? Especially now that COVID, well, you guys are starting to really open back up fully like we are, but for the longest time, our radio stations couldn't do like concert giveaways or anything like that. They were being creative and essentially, we'll buy your groceries this week or something. Like what kind of giveaways were you guys doing during the COVID? And what do you think is the plans for the future with giveaways on the radio?
Well, yeah, we did some stuff like that. We did Pay Your Bills where we had a dollar loan center. They helped us out where we paid some of their bills, people's bills and stuff like that. Gave away money several times, to listeners and whatnot. But moving forward, though, again, it's like everything's opening up. So everything's just going to be just as business as usual, where it's like, now we have things to promote. Now we have concerts. Now, sporting events are going to be 100%. This is going to be the very first year where fans are going to be allowed into the new Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders are playing. Like, that's a giant thing, man. And it's like, so Vegas is going to come back like way strong. I think it's going to come back way strong. It was already nuts. Like, this is the first week that it was like 100%. And I was down on Fremont Street, and I'm like, oh, Fremont Street's back. Jesus, it was jam-packed. Like, it was just nuts, dude.
Things are open when Fremont's full bore,
right? Exactly. Like, when I walk out of Fremont Street, I'm like, I feel so attractive. Yes. Dude. Fremont Street is like, dude, that is where where you are at the American food chain, where it's like, am I poor? Am I middle class? Am I elite? I'm like,
that's hilarious.
It's vicious, man.
Yeah, we were there in August, and it was basically a ghost town, and we were like, man, I don't know, like, this is crazy, because we walked into, what was it that we walked into, Mark, that the MGM, I think it was, and when we walked in there, it was like 8 or 9 o'clock on a Friday, and it really felt like it was like the end of the world, because there was nobody there, and it was like, because no one was really going there, they were still, locked down kind of mode, and it felt like a zombie apocalypse kind of feel, when you're just like 3 people stuttering at one place, and it was just, it was weird. It was like, people would be going down, they would show videos of them driving down Las Vegas Boulevard, and that's usually just bumper to bumper, stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. I mean, people are like going 65 miles an hour down Las Vegas Boulevard like it's Grand Theft Auto. Like not even giving a damn, dude. It was an eerie time, man. And but again, I just think that whole COVID thing, like if you didn't learn something about yourself, and I know you've probably seen this dumb bullshit tweet, but it's like, it's something I got to kind of buy into. But if you didn't learn something about yourself during all this stuff, then you're doing something wrong. Like if you didn't learn that there isn't something to fix about you, then you're doing something wrong. And I think that's something that a lot of us kind of took a reset on that whole COVID thing. And I think a lot of us are attacking things a little bit different now. Very true, because it basically gave us like a year to kind of look inward to see what was kind of going on in ourselves, I guess, in our family and people, you know what I mean? So definitely agree with you there.
Well, and that's all the internet is, man, is it's like we all kind of try and create our own echo chamber of people that think like us, and but then in the end you just end up alienating anyone that had any worth in your life, because if all you want is just people that agree with you or are afraid of you around you, what kind of growth are you having? Like,
exactly.
It's like, God.
100% agree.
And that's it. And it's like, it's happened in art and it's happened in entertainment. I mean, when we used to, like, again, look at the 70s, like 60s and the 70s, when that music was coming up, you would hear like Black Sabbath and Billy Joel and George Clinton on the same radio station, and they would call that rock and roll. They would just go, that's rock and roll. Boom, have at it, kids, And now it's like everything is so segregated. And as we keep going, it just seems like all this music that was it was like rock and roll broke into all these different pieces. Now there's hip hop and there's rock and roll, and then there's metal, and now there's death metal and there's black metal, and it's just like,
it's like 15 different types of metals.
And that's the thing. And it's like, you'll see those fractions start arguing with one another. Like you'll have like the death metal bands and the black metal bands are like, oh, you're a fake. No, you're fake. And I'm like, why? I don't get this. Like, who's like, everybody just kind of wants what everybody thinks they want what they want, but you're just kind of limiting your own creativity and limiting your own intake.
Yeah, putting yourself more in a box.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've definitely heard the argument too, like you get into that crazy thrash metal and that harder metal. The thing that's, I'm definitely, I like metal and I like rock, big fan. But when you start getting into that crazy, you're putting yourself in that box. The argument that I've always heard is that basically those are the type of fans that go to that. You're not going to meet a whole lot of ladies. It's basically just a whole bunch of just dudes that are just hate the situation.
For real.
And it basically, they're just all just angry together and they're all just enjoying that art, right? But it's like, they're gonna have like your beard, if there is a lady there,
or something.
Yeah, there's one lady with minor Mark's beard
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually reminds me, we a few episodes ago had a at-home rapper visionary here in the local area of Phoenix. And one of the questions that we asked him and his co-producer, Joe Audio, was punk and rap, they kind of have the same background when it comes to how they were,
fuck the police
how
kind of thing,
came to be, basically.
Yeah, dude, I'll take it a step further, man. You look at country music and you look at rap, and it's like they've already, and it's like there's a lot of similarities there too. Think about it. Country music and hip hop, it's like, all right, how many songs in country music are all about just have a good time and shake your sugar shaker and and then same thing with hip hop where it's like song and how many different variations of the thong song have we heard in the last 25 goddamn years, you know what I mean? Just make the booty clap type of music. All right, so we got that out of the way. Then on top of that, if you say there's no speaking out against religion in hip hop and in country music, like you have, it's like you say anything bad about Jesus, like you constantly hear in punk rock, like you're gonna have a problem.
That's true.
So there's these primal things that happen within those two communities that, and it seems like they're on opposite sides because it looks like they're on opposite sides of the political spectrum, and I think that's where punk rock and hip hop do kind of coexist. But dude, it's like everything's way more similar than it appears, dude. Everything is.
Well, you definitely like rock my world because I'm a rap fan and I hate country. So now I have to really probably like look inward to myself to figure out I got to give country more of a shot, which is crazy to me, but I guess I can figure that out.
Love and hate, there's a thin line between love and hate.
That's true. That's true.
People want to pretend like one side's more real than the other. Well, it depends on where you're living. Like if I live in some stank ass hick town where it's like I got like 400 people and somebody's writing a song about that and it's, oh my God, this is the realest shit ever, like I'm over here thinking NWA has been lying the entire time, I'm like, that can't happen, that shit isn't fucking real, you're not throwing haystacks,
there's not cops everywhere,
yeah, exactly, like what kind of fantasy world are you talking about?
That is true.
But and the thing, that's why, but when there is like a hip hop song that did have a country flavor to it, like that Nas X one song, you know what I mean? Rednecks ran to that shit because there's more Kid Rocks out there that want to be rappers that love that, there's like Kid Rock, like country rapper, I mean, it's not my flavor, believe me, but I mean, it's like there's a lot more guys out there that are just like, that are on that tip where it's like right in the middle of that country and hip hop.
That is so true.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it's marketable, dude.
Yeah. Because and then it crosses both lines. You get both audience, and it's going to be more revenue for that artist if they can pull it off.
And dude, Kid Rock even said it best. He's like, nobody sells more XXL women's t-shirts than me. And I'm like, that is so fantastic. I'm like, that's how he's taking ownership. You know what I mean? I may not like his music. You know what I mean? And sometimes when he starts talking politics, I'm like, whatever, bro. But it's like, at least there's a guy out there that can at least take some ownership. I'm like, yeah, this is what I brought to the world. XXL women's t-shirts. I'm like, go get it, bro.
That's awesome.
Like, I'm done hating people.
The other thing I heard that's cool about him is that at his concerts, he always makes sure that the beer prices are like extremely low. Like he like covers most of it. So instead of paying like $8 for beers at, concerts and stuff, he charges like $2 or $3. Basically he wants everyone to have a good to, be hammered and probably enjoy the music that maybe most of us don't like or whatever. You know what I mean? But
you know what though? Because in this day
making a big party is what his whole thing is.
Right, dude. In this day and age, that's the only way to keep an audience, man. Once you get an audience the size of Kid Rock's, and believe me, man, in today's day and age, nowadays, getting an audience that size is like you are thankful, like getting and that's the thing. They're not just, that's a fan base, you get a fan base that size, and it's crazy because we're kind of poking fun at them a little bit, but in the last couple of years, what other band out there has a fan base out there that can, sell 3,000, 5,000 tickets at $20 a piece, because that's the way he wants to keep it, when you're letting everybody know that, I got to give him credit. He may be right wing and all this stuff, but he definitely, he shows his fans love by not trying to rape them for $45 shirts, like Kiss does, you know what I mean?
Oh, Kiss! Yeah.
It's like we couldn't do this without you guys. Now take this $90 keychain wallet, or it's just stupid, dude.
Yeah.
As you were kind of mentioning that, the first thing I thought of was, well, Kiss. I mean, they do that, but then you're right. They charge an arm and a leg for every piece of merch that's been created on the planet of Earth and any other planet really in the galaxy. Is ridiculous. Like the amount of money that they make off merch is ridiculous. I can only assume.
It's incredible, dude. They put that logo on anything, and people will pay crazy money for it. Okay, Dollar Loan Center. Do you guys have Dollar Loan Center out there?
Do we?
We have like title loans and things like that because they banned like that payday check stuff. I want to say almost a decade ago. So now it's just like title loans and check cashing places. Like that.
Yeah. So we have Dollar Loan Center. He's a major Kiss fan, like major. And dude, this guy's dropped some serious money on Kiss merch, and it's like I don't get it, dude. But if you think about it though, like that kind of fandom, again, just because everything's been so splintered, like I don't know if we'll ever see that again. I don't know if we will ever see that again.
That's true. Like, who would that be now? I don't think there's anybody that would be like that now.
Well, like right now, like the biggest names, it's like, and again, these names, they're big for just a second. Like, like Cardi B was a huge name. Now it's Megan Thee Stallion, but that started getting worn out. The Weeknd, that's, like these things, they have their peak and then all of a sudden they're gone.
Well, I'm just talking about like nuts. The brand. I'm talking like the brand. Like the only thing I can think of is maybe like Kanye. He has like when they come out with their own clothing line. And that they're able to kind of keep their brand with, you know what I mean? 'Cause, I mean, Kiss was everything, stickers, shirts. They have the pinball machines, all their merchandise. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of if there's anyone else that does that now that would even be at that level.
Well,
I don't think there is anybody.
I'd say Ghost does that very well.
Oh, Ghost. And they make other merch that's other than like shirts.
Oh yeah, they make a ton of merch. My wife buys a ton of that shit. I love Ghost.
Ghost
my wife loves that band, and she has some Ghost shit. And I'm like, how much did you spend on this? I'm like, oh my god, dude. And
is it expensive to item like marked up like you would imagine?
Well,
kind of.
Yeah. So it's like they got the Ghouls. That's the name of his backing band, and she went out there and got a couple of masks for like photo shoots and stuff. And I'm like, oh babe, like it's so expensive. Sitting here watching my wife buy right into it, but what am I gonna do? Makes her happy.
That's funny.
Buys right into the machine. I'm trying. That's the thing, man. It's like that's kind of what I'm just trying not to do, is just not trying to buy in 100%. But I mean, it's not like we all haven't already.
So true.
Yeah. Do you have any particular bands or hobbies that you do, invest in or at least fanboy out a little bit on?
Let's see, like as far as bands, I mean, like I'm a big fan of the older stuff. Like I love like Beatles are definitely up there, Rolling Stones, like that's kind of type of my I just like the originality. I like the early punk. I like the Misfits, just certain albums that I just listen to constantly over and over again, just like Sex Pistols and stuff like that. I just like the bass rock and roll type of stuff, AC/DC. That's cool. Like my wheelhouse, like anything. And then when you're talking hip hop, it's like, I like 90s. I think hip hop kind of hit its peak like in probably 2004. And then everything just kind of started, got more Yeah. It just got basic. All of a sudden,
everything auto-tuned. basically.
Everything was auto-tuned, and everything was just the cymbal, that quick cymbal sound, and the bass.
Yeah,
that's all it was. And it's like, and I'm like, there was so much more personality back in the day, and now everything just seems ripped off and just basic. I'm not really into it now. But yeah,
with the radio station, you know how like when. I don't know if you went through this when you were a teenager, but when I was a teenager, just about, my junior year, senior year-ish, I was going through a phase of emotionally driven music, music that basically was like, dude, I can really relate to this, hyper-focused on what's going on with the lyrics that they have.
Wasn't that Alanis Morissette for you?
Oh, yeah, it was.
Jagged Little Pill.
Of course, that was Mark. He still wears those shirts.
Isn't it ironic?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Pun intended.
Nice.
With the audience, right? Do you get that a lot with like requests of what they want to listen to on the radio, or do you feel like the genre of music that you're playing on the radio kind of drives to a younger crowd that has that happen?
I think that when people are still listening to the radio, I think there is a magic that happens because you have no idea what's coming up next. And it's like, it's unlike if you're listening on your phone, or and again, it's the chance that you get to break out of your echo chamber to see what else is out there, to see if there's anything else that could possibly inspire you. Like, it is crazy how, if you think about it, how many genres of music that people might not like, but maybe they hear a hook in that genre and then they apply it to their genre. And now all of a sudden they got a mega hit. And like when you listen to Kanye West and when you listen to a guy like, Dr. Dre, and the way they talk about assembling music, it's like you have all these guys that just, I don't know, they just knew how to get the job done, I guess. And
very true.
I don't know. I think, yeah.
That is one thing that you can kind of see with Kanye and Dr. Dre. You can see that they were able to, they took what seemed to be like a lot of the samples from the older generations to make the music kind of sound, more up to date, it seemed, maybe. I don't know if that's true or not.
Right.
It kind of seemed that way.
Right. Well, that's exactly, Dr. Dre definitely did that. I mean, he just found he started off just making a bunch of loops and stuff. And Kanye just kind of started doing things. He definitely used a ton of loops as well. But, he also added a little bit of his own keyboard flair into it. But yeah, I mean, again, it's just like, I just think that right now, though, just because everybody's in their own echo chamber, it's like right now, it's just, I don't know, like creativity's really taking a hit. And, and it's...
Well, they had a year. They had a year to pull something off, so we'll see what happens.
Well, right, yeah, they had a year to pull something out. And
hopefully. But
it's like nowadays, though, too, it's like, like, does anybody even want to be famous? Like, now you're a prisoner you're online, and it's just
anything you say, you'll get canceled.
Yeah,
that whole thing, it's crazy.
It's nuts, man. Like, again, like doing stand up and stuff. Like, I really watch a lot of comics, and a lot of them like really do have these dreams of fame, and I bring it up and I'm like, are you sure you want that, man? Like, look how mad you got at one guy who made a negative comment on your video, like, and you just eviscerated him that bad. And I'm like, well, now just imagine hundreds of thousands of people. Granted, you got millions of people that love you, but you're always gonna have that 1% that's gonna try and fuck your day up, dude.
Yep.
And it's just like, I'm like, and these people, they just love living online. They just love being a part of that, like the part of that world. They think
Internet
it's mingling,
trolls.
and I'm like, it's a prison, dude. It's a prison.
Yeah. Have you ever had anybody come like on your Twitter or anything that kind of got under your skin a little bit, or maybe something an email to the site, or not to the site, to the station or something, where they're like complaining about you?
Yeah, dude. Of course, dude.
I imagine you have.
Of course, a lot, But this is the thing, like, if you, I don't really engage in any of that stuff. Like, if somebody comes at me sideways or posts a video slamming me or something, you can't, you don't want to help these people. So all you do is you just ignore it. You just listen to this person kind of say what they're going to say. Eventually they'll run out of breath. They'll find something new. or they'll just realize that they look like the bad guy at this point, you know? And that's the hardest part about living in this world now, is the not reacting. Like, you just have to understand that there's a life out there. People are phony. People want to make it out like, you know, their opinion has some weight, and this is the best way for them to feel like they matter. Like, they, you know, when all they got to do is open their eyes and just treat the people around them good, they matter already. But they're like, but they're trying to matter to the wrong people. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what it is. It's like, and it's funny though, because that's how I look at it that's how phony I think rap beefs are. You know what I mean? Like, they'll be like, you know, like, there wasn't a real one since, like, you know, Pac and Biggie. And I think everybody realized, like, we don't want to kill, our cash maker. You know what I mean? We don't want to kill our cash cows. Like, let's make sure that they just write some bad shit about each other and move on. You know, nobody, I don't want Tupac today, and I don't want somebody saying they're banging somebody else's wife like he did back in the day. You know what I mean? It's like, and then write a song about how much he loves his mom the next, you know, it's like,
The good old days of rap.
Good old days. Oh, Pac, we miss you.
We need you.
He's like, I remember
come
that.
Come back from that island.
Motherfucker.
I wish you'd get out of retirement and come back.
I know, exactly. Stop being a poet. Stop being Machiavelli.
Yeah. You brought up cancel culture. And one thing that I've been kind of thinking about recently, and also you being in comedy, the situation with Tony Hinchcliffe, it seems like he's kind of immune with the cancel culture for the most part. It almost seems like, are you familiar with the situation at all?
Okay, I didn't see the video. Let me just say that. But I am familiar with the situation. And what I believe, and again, this all boils down to this. One thing with Tony Hinchcliffe is he made his own thing. If you make your own thing, okay, you are immune to anything. If you make your own thing, it's up to his fans to go, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to do that. Now, if he was working for a company or something,
like
then
Joe Rogan,
the company would go, what's that?
Like now, I was going to say now, like Joe Rogan, who's now dealing with Spotify, his issues.
Right, exactly. Like, so let's just say Joe Rogan says something crazy, and Spotify is like, oh man, that reflects on us. Now they're the ones that have to make the decision. But if you're Tony Hinchcliffe, everything you say is coming right out. That's your business is saying that. So like, if you're not pissing off the fan base, then you got nothing to worry about when it comes to cancel culture. My thing is what I'm really afraid of is when more and more people start going, yeah, fuck this cancel culture stuff and fuck this. Who cares what society thinks? And then things like real racism start to build because you got more and more people that are like afraid that aren't afraid of cancel culture, that aren't afraid of the public scrutiny of racism. They're just like, oh, fuck it. Look at all these people I got on my side. You know, we're doing all right now. And it's like, that really does kind of worry me, where it's like, the more I believe cancel culture has tried to bring everybody together, the more it's just made people just ban, instead of accepting others, they've just forced people to band closer together. And it's like,
yeah, that's a way to look at it.
All it's done is work against each other. All it's done is work against itself.
That's crazy.
Exactly. Now, if this was something like, if the fans, and now if all of a sudden Patreon or somebody that was, that were feeding money to him because he's obviously got to get paid. If one of those sites were just like, fuck you, Tony, then he'd have something to worry about. But that would also mean every show that was associated with Patreon would have to be forced to take, do I stand with Patreon or do I go to another one? Now all of a sudden it's splintering off into, it's just, again, the more of this, like, take a stand, speak your mind, the more everybody starts doing that, dude, all it's done is made everybody screaming at the same time and not one single voice is being heard.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
That brings me to another question then. So obviously you run a couple podcasts along with being a radio host, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about cancel culture right now. When you're doing the podcast, like, do you always have that in the in the back of your mind? Like, okay, I need to mind my P's and Q's on specific things. Do you approach podcasting the same way you approach the radio, or does the radio station not care with what goes on?
The radio station doesn't care what I do on my podcast. They let me do whatever I want. But the one thing with Rise to Offend, for example, now this is a show that is a direct response to cancel culture, because it started off being just three guys having fun and sound effects and just trying to be funny. And we did that for a few years. But then we ended up switching gears and we started doing a documentary podcast, and it forces us to look back on, like, maybe sometimes even as early as 10 years ago and go, why was this moment in time significant, and how different are things now compared to then? And
that's cool.
And what it does is, like, it really does show the amount of growth, like, and how we view things, and how things that were at one point acceptable that aren't acceptable now. And it's like, and it's so funny because like right now online, we have a bunch of 20-year-olds trying to tell everybody like what real life is. I'm like, you don't even know what real life is. You know what I mean? You haven't failed enough. Yeah, exactly. Like, you haven't failed enough. You just listened. So you listen to a couple of Tupac records and you think you know what the 90s was like? Like, get the fuck out of here. You don't know anything, you know? You dumbass. Perfect. Like, it's insane. Like, listen to these people try and tell me about life. But that's the thing. It's like, they don't understand that, you know, now compared to then, like, listening to them talk about, like, race relations, I'm like, whoa, like, you don't even know what it was like back then. You know what I mean? Like, you have no clue. You're just going off of a movie, you know, like it's just, but the thing is, nowadays, everybody just, the whole point is just to tell everybody to chase emotion, you know, and when we start chasing emotion, things like facts get lost, you know?
I know what rap is. I watched 8 Mile once.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. I've been there. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I know what it's like to grow up in the streets. I played Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, yeah.
Believe me, I've been there. Thank you.
That's way better analogy.
Yeah, because that's probably how they think too, for sure.
Let's get into the last piece of the show. Again, like I said, we have some questions. In the coming weeks, we do have someone from Australia that's coming up. We tend to ask this question in a unique way with our audience to just play with it, have a little fun with the idea of kind of how we pitch it. So if you were to think about a flat earther, and if you are a flat earther, I'm not trying to talk down on you or anything like that, and you wanted to believe in the way or shape of how the earth actually is, and the length of time it takes to actually get from a place from the United States to actually Australia, do you think that it's plausible that Australia might not be real?
Let's see here. If I were a flat, okay, I'm really trying to grasp this thing, because you're like, I really like how you're like, if you are a flat earther, I'm not trying to upset you. I'm like, no, that's what we got to do. We have to.
We got to be mad at those people.
Stop it with this stupid bullshit.
Hold on one second, Brandon. I'm a flat earther. Brandon. Stop. No, I'm messing with you.
Well, what was funny is so we asked this to our guest last week, and we found out that his father-in-law is a flat earther, and that just took on a whole new conversation.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That the question, we didn't even get to answer the question. We just went on the whole spiel of, wait a second, you're related to someone who's a flat earther?
They fight at Thanksgiving and stuff. I was like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible to me, dude. And it's like, okay, so the person that was just their stepdad that was a flat earther, their father-in-law was a flat earther. Okay, is he a flat earther?
He was not.
He didn't come off like he was.
Because obviously,
especially with the fights.
Because they had arguments about it.
You see, I hear something like that, and I'm just so thankful that my wife hates her dad. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm just like, dude, I win so much. Like, because I can't, I'm not it's like when I say this, it just sucks that I have to like preface this. Look, I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings when I say that your flat earth conspiracy is really you being a total fucking idiot and just trying to hold on to something so you can seem special. Like, it's just like, we have to call them out, dude. And it's like, it's so infuriating now that we're like, we have to this. And it's like, and here's the funny thing about flat earthers too. They're also the same people that are like, fuck your feelings. You're a flat earther. I shouldn't care about anything you say about anything. Like, you're mute now.
We have to cancel the flat earthers. Is that what you're saying? Because I'm on board with that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's what I'm getting at. It's like, we're forgetting. It's like, that's what I'm getting. It's like, I hate cancel culture so much that in a way though, I have to cancel. There's certain people we have to go, all right. You're so stupid, and your stupidity is spreading. It's spreading like herpes all over the country. Like, it's just like, there's so many cold sores in Ohio and North Dakota now. And it's just, they just believe this because, again, all they want to do is just be a part of this. Told you so. Well, it doesn't matter how wrong. They just want to have this one moment in time where they're just like,
I've been telling you for years.
For buying into that Yankee history book of yours, you stupids. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's so infuriating.
You've been going to Australia, you're not even going there.
Legitimacy to these people.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So is Australia a thing? Yes, it's a fucking thing because the Earth is round.
All right. Okay.
We all love Paul Hogan. We love Paul Hogan. I love Mel Gibson before he was racist. Like, give me back Mad Max Mel Gibson.
Thor. Isn't Thor from there? Thor's from there too, right?
What's that? Thor? Yeah, Thor's from there.
I think Thor. Yeah, we got Thor too. Thor's from there.
Yeah.
And Wolverine.
Yeah, we're building a solid case to validate that Australia is actually a real place.
I'm like, dude, that's what I'm saying. It's like, even make that up. I'm like, dude, look at what they've given us. They've given us so much. Like dingoes, you know, but...
Kangaroos. But there's no kangaroo. Where else are kangaroos, though? That could be... shit.
What was her name? And what's her name from Wolf of Wall Street? Margot Robbie is Australian.
She's from there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Oh,
all right.
Margot.
All right, so that's a real place.
Yeah, that's a real place.
You won me there. I'm no longer a flat earther.
Cases, the defense rests.
Yeah,
Australia is a place.
If she says she's from there, she can say whatever she wants.
I know.
With you being like a lot of your life surrounded around music, do you have a genre that's a guilty pleasure to you? Like, when you leave the radio station, you hop in your car to head home, and the next thing you know, you got Taylor Swift on, and you're singing whatever breakup story she did.
or Alanis Morissette for Mark. That's what he does every day.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look, you know what? For me, I'd probably say, I don't know, man. Like, it's like, probably like Neil Diamond, probably. I love Neil Diamond. You know what I mean?
Coming to America. Coming to America.
So it's like, you know, Neil Diamond, stuff like that kind of guitar. Because I do like a finger pick a guitar. So it's like, I listen to those songs and then I try and do it. So it's like, it just kind of gives me a little bit of inspiration, you know?
Oh,
and the songwriting's so easy too. So it's like, when you see that kind of songwriting structure, you're like, oh, I could do that shit. And you could write your own song.
Coming to America, basically. We're coming to America.
Exactly, dude. It's
today.
Like, it's the day. That's what I'm getting at, dude. It's like, we overthink so much. Like, think about that song by The Weeknd, that dumb song that we heard 1,000 times. That we've heard 1,000 times way before that song came out. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, the one that did he play?
The one that they're playing a lot now.
Yeah. Like, dude, it's like everybody loves that song because it's familiar, dude, and it's like,
because it sounds like it's from the 90s or 80s, right? And like you can hear the beat to it.
That's what I'm saying. Like he may not have like ripped that song off, but he totally ripped that song off. It's like we've heard it like we've heard it like on 10 or 15 different songs, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, but he, instead of overthinking it, going, oh, I'm trying to make the next Pink Floyd The Wall, he's like, oh, whatever, I'm just trying to make some money and get laid on the deal. And it's just, it totally worked for him.
That is
That's kind of similar with like that DMX Phil Collins song. I don't know if you're a fan of DMX or anything like that.
I'm a fan of both. What happened?
Phil Collins has a song, I think it's Phil Collins, and DMX basically like blended it. I don't want to say that they were a co-op, but he got the permission to do so. What the hell is that one Phil Collins song?
Into the Air of the Night? No?
In the Air of the Night?
Yeah.
It's that one. Yeah. And essentially DMX is rapping and is it
the hook?
What is it? What's the hook? Yeah, the hook essentially is Phil Collins saying, in the air, so on and so forth. So it's kind of similar to that. And not a lot of people even know about that song.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah. The younger people who hear it, right, when it comes out, they're like, oh my God, I've never heard this before, even though that it's probably been done 2 or 3 times before. And right. That's kind of how music and movies and all that, they just keep remaking shit.
Well, because now, you used to have a payoff back in the day if you went original. And it's like now all the people with the money, they don't have as much money as they used to. So now they're like banking on for sure projects. So meanwhile, like movies that were like totally indie related, totally by themselves, they didn't have to get the rights to certain characters that we were already familiar with. Like, back in the 90s and stuff, you had, it wasn't about recreating a movie from a book. It was about like trying to create something original. So, but you had companies, they had the money to take risks. Well, now they don't have the money to take the risk. So now all we're doing is just getting bottom of the barrel, just kind of basic original ideas, because that's all that sells. They're just trying to hit a mass audience. So individuality takes the hit.
Sad.
My next question is, can you name something that a lot of people like, but you can't stand?
Social media. Yeah.
I'm the same.
Oh man, I hate it. I hate it so much. I wish that we didn't have it. I wish all it's done is really keep people from giving each other a chance. Because, it's just, it was supposed to bring people together, and all it's done is just, oh my God, it's pushed so many things.
I think it divided us, like probably what you're saying.
Like you've been saying this entire episode, it's like another thing that's putting people in a hyper niche, especially because with like SEO and keyword searches, now people are gravitating to like-minded individuals, and they're essentially just stewing in their own pot all the time.
Well, it's like this whole, like I was talking to my friend and I was like, I don't like social media because you'll get negativity. And she's like, oh, I don't get that. It's the algorithm. Mine's all about stuff I like. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, you like that? You like somebody just going, you like this. You keep on liking this one thing. And I'm like, you're happy about that? Like, that's bad. That's not good.
Yeah, that's how it's turning us into just mindless clickers of what they want, right? Pointing us in the direction to keep doing what they want us to do. That's what it is.
The thing, man, right after I get done with this episode, I'm probably going to jump on Amazon and buy something, because it's like, because it's part of the life. Like I sit there and I kicked and screamed and talked about all this like music being free and how much that's ruined stuff. And dude, all I've done is just been a giant hypocrite the entire time. We're all bought in. That's like when I listen to all these people that want to blast the government, and they're going to get all your info. They got your info over. They got it. It is done. They have it. They know where you are at this very moment. It's
that argument is hilarious to me, because a lot of people right now, like if you talk to them about, let's say 23andMe or some type of DNA test to find your heritage, like, well, I don't want my DNA out there. And I'm like, well, have you ever been to the doctor? Well, yeah, of course. Your DNA's somewhere, dude. Someone has it somewhere. It's already there. It's had.
Yeah.
As soon as you pop out the womb, they prick your foot. So
yeah. It's a wrap, and it's just so funny, like how people just kind of keep screaming the same thing, and I'm like, it's done. You're in society now. If you want to go out, now the people that I want to leave alone are the ones that are like, look, I just want to go live into the woods, drive into town, get supplies. I'll go back into the fucking woods, into my cabin. You know what I mean? And it's like, fine, you know what? You want to go live that life? You want to be so off the grid? Let those people collect rainwater. Let those people, you know what I mean? Let them do their own thing. Fine. You want to commit, but it's the ones that are talking about, Google searches and social media platforms. And it's like, man, you're already caught. They have you already. They have you. It's like, It's just so funny.
You were 15 upgrades ago, or like, you know what I mean? Like your service agreements, your 15 iOS updates ago is when they got you. Now they're just they're redoing. They're adding more to the I need my phone updated is what it is.
Are you reading the entire update thing on every iOS? Go ahead, read the whole entire thing. Okay this, okay that. Go for it, But no, they're not doing that. It's like all those assholes that went through Fauci's emails. I'm like, really? You got a bunch of losers going through emails. I'm like, we really trust this guy? You know what I mean? Like, dude, it's just, that's what you're going to do with your time? Like, all right, man, whatever.
So true.
And no one's going through the terms of service. That's just not a reality.
Nobody does that. That's the other thing too. The one person that does it and actually finds out like the things that they're doing wrong, because it's probably only one or two people. That guy comes out and says, guys, don't do it. Don't do it. They're going to be like, oh, don't listen to this guy. He's crazy. Because he's been reading that shit for months, because that's how long it is. And then he's like the crazy guy, even though he probably is right, and that's why we're all screwed.
Well, see, that's the problem, though. Yeah. Everybody's afraid of saying that guy's wrong. Yeah. So nobody goes, hey, flat earther, shut the fuck up. Like, oh, no, wait, he still might be right. He might have a leg to stand on.
He might be right. Damn it. Flat earthers. They ruin everything they do.
Well,
damn Kyrie Irving.
I mean, again, that's the thing. It's like, that's why I can't really get too political. That's why, like, I have my stances, and I'm believe me, I'm looking at both of the last two presidents, this one, the current one, and the last one, and you're like, I'm watching around going like, this is what we've let it get this bad. Every single one of us have let it get this bad. This is all on us. And it's like, if you think about it, that's the American people in a nutshell, right? As the last three that we've elected, it kind of just takes the whole country and basically just shows what we all are, really, because that's what's been elected, really. So it's like, wow, like, it puts a shine on our country.
Like the last four.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, dude.
Oh, Bush too, I guess.
Yeah, like every time you look at what we've done is we've just pushed people together, and thanks to online, somebody will say like one take, and then we just put them right in this category with some of the worst people. Like, like you might be someone going, I'm pro Second Amendment. Oh yeah, well go suck on a racist's cock. And you're like, whoa.
Yep. Oh, you go this way.
Yeah, exactly. But if it's like, hey guys, I believe in pro-choice. Like, oh yeah, you want to murder babies. Like,
yep. It's so true. There's no. It's just it's hard lines each way. It's so true. Yeah. There's really no. So there's no understanding.
The Second Amendment. Yeah, I can't believe in the Second Amendment. And so no matter what, if I vote conservative, I'm voting for the pro-Second Amendment. But I'm also voting that, you know what, you're a dirty whore if you get an abortion, and you're the worst person in the world and you kill babies. I'm also saying that. It's like, no, dude. It's like,
no, you have to see
we've done.
Both sides. Yeah, no,
that's
definitely
what we've done.
You are 100% right. 100%.
And that's what we've done. And it's like, it's crazy. Like, all we've done is sit there and put people into categories. And it's just like, oh man, well, this is where we're at now.
Yeah.
The Civil War, it's coming. It's almost like, oh, which side do I pick?
We need one of those. We need just like a fix it button or a restart. Just like,
oh man,
restart it all. Reset.
All you need is that's it, dude. It's like, if we could tell everybody to stop screaming and go, all right, let's vote. Let's have a quick vote. Instead of voting on a leader, let's do an international vote. Let's do a national vote on topics, like what should be. What should the whole country of America do this, and
we should vote. Like the people should vote on what the topics are that they talk about.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
So it's like, instead of voting on the leaders for once, we should do a reset and go, okay, what does the American people want? And we could kind of go through there. But
so instead of the census, go under door to find out how many people are there. They go under door to find out what we need to really be talking about.
Exactly. Instead of these people talking about like topics that are so that have such a gray area, you know what I mean? We could actually just kind of go, all right, well, what do you think? Here's your moment. Do you think we should have it or not? Vote yes or no. And then it's like, and then you don't have to feel like you're selling yourself out, voting for somebody that you don't necessarily believe in. I mean, did anybody that voted in Joe Biden is ever like, oh my God, my heart is telling me to vote Joe Biden? You're like, no, this fear of this freak running another 4 years is what pushed me into voting for Joe Biden. Like, it's like, I have to vote for this. I have to vote for the Crypt Keeper now. Like this guy he's going to sneeze and burst into dust. This is our president now. Like, oh, this is great. Like, God damn it. And that's the thing, And then it's like, and then when you look at, and it's so funny, but here's the thing though, it's like, but that's also like, you don't even know where he's at. And you're right. But at the same time, we always knew where Trump was at. We always knew what he was doing. Here he is. Here he is. And it's like, and it either worked for him or it worked against him. And, and it still might work out for him. He still might he might be the president. Oh God,
a lot of things going on with that whole gray area of what he has, but it's just his whole situation is crazy and everything that happened to him. Our last question of the show, sorry not to derail all of that, but if politics, man, it's once you start getting into it, it's like that's why I can't have a hard stance on anything political where I'm like, no way, dude, I can't do it because it's like there's so many gray areas. Well, then there's people, too, that just like both. Like, there's something of each side that appeals to them, and those people are lost. They don't have a place to be, and necessarily they don't really even want to have a place to be. They just want to figure out what's best for them.
This is what I know both sides are against. Both sides are against pedophilia. So that's like right away. They're both against murder.
You could almost make the argument that both of them are for pedophilia, especially with all the relationships, all the relationships with Epstein and everything else that came out to light.
You are probably right. Yeah. So, all right, there you go. And that's what I'm saying. So then why fight? Why fight for any of these people?
True.
Why sit there and be like, Democrat, Republican? Like, dude, look, you got assholes on both sides. Like, how can anybody fight to the death on for any one of these causes? That's the hill you're going to die on?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So with our last question, what is a piece of information that you've learned that feels illegal to know?
Oh man, let's see here. One time, I don't know it now, but like we just used to like make exploding things, you know what I mean? Like Molotov cocktails and stuff and throw them off in the desert or whatnot. But that was pretty much it. Like nothing like real major. I've always had a friend. Okay, my best friend in the world is the most boring human being in the world. He's the guy that co-hosts Rise to Offend. Okay, he's the best guy in the world, but he's also like just so like. He never wants to do anything. There's no trouble. You know what I mean? I love trouble. I like getting into trouble. But I remember I go, hey, how about this? 4th of July, I just got a handgun. And he's like, I go, on 4th of July, I go, let's go get a propane tank. Let's go shoot at it. And he's like, are you fucking serious? And I go, no. I go, yeah, I want to. And he goes, what? He goes, you're going to blow it up? What if a piece of shrapnel like just flies out? I was like, oh, we'll get behind the door of my car. We'll kind of shoot like the cops do it. He's like, no, dude. He's like, we're not going to do that. We're not doing it. It was like, and the thing is like, I was 100% serious at the time. And I remember that day I was so let down by him. I was like, oh man, you never would do anything fun, bro. It's so fun. Now I look back and I'm like, oh my, thank God I have that friend. And that's the thing. And it's like that's the difference between young people and people my age too, is people when they're young, they think that loyalty is like so key, like, oh, my friend's going to stick with me through thick and thin. You're right. But then you also meet some people that end up doing some really bad things, and they're like, I don't need a friend that can keep a secret. I need a friend that can help me bury a body. And I'm like, I just need a friend that doesn't murder. You know what I mean? Like, just keep it that way, But it's just funny, dude, how people, I don't know. I get it. But anyway, though, yeah. So I don't even know what the original question was. What was it again?
Something that you know, that you feel
getting away with blowing stuff up.
To know.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, blowing stuff up, just getting blown stuff up is like probably stuff I used to know that I'm like, I'd probably get into a lot of trouble if a cop came by and saw
they're coming.
trying to blow up T100s or T800s or whatever.
Skynet's real. Amazon will bring them.
Yeah.
Yep. We're all doomed. We're all doomed.
Flat Earth is real. Skynet is real. I was wrong the entire time. And you guys heard how passionate
us too
on flat earthers. So it's
us too. The only thing that in the back of my mind, I started thinking the schools were telling me that it was round. Maybe I was told wrong, because there's no way that it's not round. But there's back of my mind, you never know. I don't know, but to me, it's round.
Well, it's like
pretty sure.
Right? Yeah. That's the one thing in school
my hungover science teacher must have been telling me. 99%
sure is possible.
He had to be.
Like that is a real thing. Yeah, exactly. Like history, dude. Hey, you know what? History was always told by the people that didn't die. So it's like there's going to be some quirks in the history books. We're probably always going to keep learning something new about history. But the Earth is round. Yeah. It's a fact. There is an Australia. Fact.
Well, Brandon, we really appreciate that you came onto the show. I'm glad we got this figured out and had you on. Do you have anything that you'd like to drop or any of your social handles or anything like that?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at YourBuddyGooch. And my podcast, the Metal Sucks podcast on metalsucks.net is available every Monday. And Rise to Offend, it's hard to get that one out on a specific time, but you can find it on all the podcasting platforms, Twitter, very Instagram, cool. Twitter, Google Play, Spotify, all of them.
I know that when we had Mo from Alt AZ, she had said something along the lines of giving consideration of spending 5 minutes on your station while you're on there. Is that something that you guys look for as well?
Yeah. Oh, dude, for sure. You can listen to KOMP online, KOMP.com. And then if you're ever in Las Vegas, it's 92.3 on the FM dial. And I've been working there quite a bit. I love it. And I'm very proud to be a part of that station. And I'm just having a good time, man. Again, it's what I said. Awesome. What I set out to do is just have a good time with my job, and life is great.
Awesome. All right. Amigos out.
This has been the Amigos PC. Make sure to like, subscribe, and review us on all your podcasting platforms. Visit us at Amigospc.net for our entire library of content and Amigos merch. Till next time, adios.